Hey everyone, welcome back to Harry Potter Folklore. So, I've made a couple of vids on money and wealth in the wizarding world, in particular, why the Weasleys were so poor. I still have no explanation as to why that is my biggest, most viewed video to date. But anyway, I've always wondered what the fixation is on why wizards actually can't make more money magically, or conjure riches and basically just live a life of luxury. J.K. Rowling has said that there are some things that magic just can't do, and two of those things are money and food. Bear in mind that magic was never meant to allow someone to achieve immortality, but Voldemort managed to do that. In addition, there's no kinda magical god who sits there deciding what can and can't be done by magic. JK is the creator of the world, so she's fully entitled to enforce a "because I'm the writer and I said so" rule, but in reality, there's no real logical explanation as to why any single thing or substance can't be magically created. Otherwise, what's the point in having magic in the first place? I mean, if you can manipulate free will with the love potion, then surely you can make more food or money. Doesn't really make sense to me, but let's just stay inside the wizarding world here and work out, within our limits, why magic can't be used to make two incredible important items, and let's look at ways to get around it and actually become rich in the wizarding world. So nothing can be conjured out of thin air when it comes to magic. You can't conjure food out of thin air, and you certainly can't conjure gold or money either. However, there is a form of magic called Transfiguration, which, from my understanding and research, allows a wizard to transform an object into a different object of their choice. Then again, there's no real clarity on what the substance of the transformed object would be. For example, if I transfigure a cat into a plate, does that plate contain the structure of a cat? Or is the cat's DNA altered temporarily into porcelain? It's rather confusing if I'm honest. I don't believe transfiguration will be the way to go in order to create money or food. I mean, imagine transfiguring a piece of wood into cake. Would it taste like cake or would it taste like wood? What is the composition like? Is there a time limit on how long the cake will remain in cake-like state? Or what if I ate the cake and it turned back to wood in my stomach? It just seems too complicated, and I can see myself going down a rabbit hole with transfiguration. There is of course Gamp's law of elemental transfiguration, which actually dictates the rules of transfiguration and basically states that one cannot conjure something out of thin air, and if they're successful at it, it will just disappear or vanish afterwards. It's actually unknown what the full 5 exceptions are, but it appears at least 2 of them are food and money. The law provides guidelines for the conjuring of matter, explicitly food as I've mentioned, and life that has been taken by dark magic, life that has expired naturally, precious metals, money and shelter. I suppose there are some of you who would include love in this list, which isn't really something physical for me, so I think it should be exempt. Regardless, it has been established that these things cannot be created using deductive logic. At the very least, the knowledge of how to accomplish these tasks has been withheld from the general populace. It doesn't mean that there isn't ways to achieve these accomplishments. It is possible that there are exceptions, however. The Sardine Hex is a 100% complete clear example of food appearing to be conjured, though as Hagrid didn't really do too much to explain how it works, my guess is he just didn't know. The whole area makes little sense to me, so let's just rule that out. Anyway, let's move on to something that I think could probably work pretty well, and that is of course the doubling charm, which allows the caster to replicate an object as many times as they wish. This charm is also able to act as a curse by doubling and tripling any item that's disturbed by touch, as we seen when Harry entered the vault of Bellatrix Lestrange to retrieve the Hufflepuff cup. I suppose one really effective way to become rich in the wizarding world without conjuring galleons or sickles would be to use the doubling charm on Muggle money. Then you put it in your bank account and just keep doing it. So you will withdraw some money afterwards and then exchange that for wizarding money, because it's actually real. Use wizarding and Muggle money however you choose. It's also important to note that you're not exchanging the fake Muggle money. What you're actually doing is taking the fake Muggle money to the bank and depositing it. That fools the bank. Then you go to an ATM and withdraw the actual amount you deposited in real Muggle currency, which you then exchange for real wizarding currency. The goblins never touch the fake money and continuously exchange the real money for galleons, and before you know it, you have built a mansion next door to the Malfoys. However, it's not the Gemini curse we're talking about just the doubling charm as I mentioned. So this leaves a question on whether the substance of the material replicated is the same as that of the original item. Even if it isn't, the spell itself makes it identical in weight and size, so it should be pretty convincing, even if its legitimate quality is questionable. It also makes me wonder if this was the approach of the leprechauns when they created leprechaun gold. It was a gold-like substance produced by leprechauns that looks and feels like authentic, regular gold coins, and had that unique ability of disappearing after a few hours. Not many witches and wizards seem to have been aware of this fact, as shown with Ron Weasley. Although the coins seemed identical to ordinary ones, goblin experts could differentiate them from ordinary coins, as Harry Potter, Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley all overheard when they visited Gringotts Wizarding Bank in search of one of Voldemort's Horcruxes in the Lestrange family vault. There's also the fact of what it does to the magical economy. Here's how I think it works from a personal standpoint. The wizarding economy works like any normal economy. It is illegal to recreate and reprint currency. It is even more illegal to create counterfeit currency. In times of economic crisis, countries would print more and more of the currency in order to compensate for the massive downturn, which would then devalue the money more and more until it's practically valueless, a process called hyperinflation. Take Zimbabwe for example. By November 2008, their annual inflation rate sat at 89.7 sextillion%. They printed paper money, whereas the Wizarding World's currency was gold, silver and bronze. Can you imagine if wizards were able to reproduce actual coins of those three substances at their disposal? Everyone would be rich, the value of galleons, sickles and nuts would plummet, it would be an absolute disaster. To me, the Wizarding World seems to have a stable but fragile economy, meaning that even the smallest destabilization would send them into a panic that would see them make crazy decisions. Should just look at how they reacted to Voldemort's return, the cover-ups, the lies. It's such a weak, poorly run government, so I think they'd impose some restrictions which are as follows. Gold cannot be struck in the form of a galleon unless sold to goblins for the minting process to be carried out by goblin goldsmiths. The same applies to silver and bronze for sickles and nuts respectively. All money deposited into Gringotts Bank or used to pay for items will have a trace due to the extremely close similarities between real goblin-made galleons and leprechaun-made gold. The only way its legitimacy can be revealed is through an examination by a goblin. There is of course only one proven way to create gold, real solid gold, made to last, no contradictions, no exemptions or anything of the kind. How, you may ask? Well, once upon a time, a Frenchman who went by the name of Nicolas Flamel came along, and after decades of studying alchemy and what I'm sure is many trial and error moments, he developed what's known as the Philosopher's Stone. The stone could turn any metal into pure gold and produced the elixir of life, which granted immortality. Flamel used the elixir of life derived from the stone to extend his and his wife Perinel's lifespan for over 6 centuries, which is absolutely incredible. But what I want to talk about is its ability to turn any metal to gold. The story goes that the powder that's ground off the stone changes the amount of protons in any metal to 79, which therefore makes it gold. Gold is the only metal that has 79 protons. Well, everyone, that's my video on why wizards can't use magic to make gold, money or food. I really extensively researched this video, and trust me when I say there was not much to go on, but we got a video together, and it's my favourite type of video because I really wasn't sure what I was looking for in terms of its structure. Make sure to look out for the next video.